Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome, welcome, and thank you for joining us at the British Safety Council's. This is our NEBOSH National and International General Certificate and Taster session that we're running today. So if you're thinking basically about enrolling in doing your NEBOSH National or International General, we're going to take you through a little bit around the certificate and just give you a little bit of insight into what this looks like. So thank you for joining us. My name is Dr. Julie Riggs. I am the Director of Education at the British Safety Council, and I'll be taking you through the session today. And some of the things that we're going to be covering, we're going to be looking a little bit around the NEBOSH General Certificate itself, so looking at the course structure, what topics are covered. We're going to look at the assessment and some of the learning outcomes. And then we're going to give you a bit of insight into the British Safety Council as well and what our offering is about. We're going to look a little bit at the Learning Zone, which is our digital learning platform, and you can see a little bit around what we're offering there. And then finally, I'm going to introduce my very talented colleague, Maria Lopez, who's going to offer a little bit of a taster session from a tutor-led program. So again, you get to see a little bit around what we're all about and our particular offering. Now, you'll see on your system as well that you can answer and ask any questions as we go through. There's a chat facility for you as well. So we will do our best to answer as we go through these sessions. And we'll also allow a little bit of time at the very end just to answer any further questions that come. We'll also provide you with a contact detail as well. So if you want to get back in contact with us after this webinar, we can give you some guidance about how to do that. Okay, so let's start this session today, and let's just have a little look around NEBOSH itself. So a little bit of background information if you're not familiar with NEBOSH. So NEBOSH stands for the National Examination Board in Occupational Safety and Health. So they're examination board essentially, and they set the syllabus and run the exams for these qualifications. They've been around for quite a long time. They were established in 1979. And they are registered as a charity. So their main objective is focusing on saving lives, protecting people from injury and illnesses, and supporting sustainability worldwide. So part of what they do is, as they have surplus from the qualifications that they are commercially selling, they use their surplus into charitable types of activities. They are globally recognized. This qualification is recognized around the world. And they offer a series and portfolios of different qualifications, from awards, which are more introductions into the qualifications, to certificates, which we're going to talk about today, and also up to diplomas, which are postgrad degree levels. So the two qualifications that we're going to look at today are going to be the National General Certificate, and this was launched in 1989. And over 220,000 people worldwide have passed this qualification. And we're also going to look at the International General Certificate, launched in 2006. You can see 170,000 people worldwide have passed this qualification. So it's a very recognized qualification. So the certificate itself, as mentioned, it's internationally recognized. It's really aimed at health and safety professionals who wish to continue their career. So you may have done more of an awareness course around health and safety. Perhaps maybe you've done other types of qualifications here and you want to step up to the next level. This is a great level before you perhaps go on and do your diploma. This is a lovely level to start with, and it gives you lots of skills and knowledge that you'll need as a practitioner. It's very versatile, so it applies across any sectors. So whether you work in construction, engineering, manufacturing, maybe you work in an office environment, it will cover all of those different sectors. As mentioned, it has a very nice basis to then leading on to the NEBOSH diploma. So much of what you learn in the certificate, the diploma then builds on that existing knowledge. And it is also a pathway to professional membership. So whether you're looking at RSM, you're looking at IOSH, there's other types of memberships around the world, NEBOSH are recognised as underpinning that professional knowledge. And of course, from a professional point of view as well, it can enhance your job prospects and potentially your salary as well. So IOSH do some really interesting data looking at what qualifications you might have a professional, and what typical salaries you might see in response to that. So a great, real, very well recognised qualification that is very suitable for people. So a little bit about the learning outcomes, and you can see there's quite a few in here. What I really love about the NEBOSH certificate is it's not just about giving those technical skills that you need as a practitioner, but it's giving you some of those softer skills that really help you. So you can see that it talks about how you're able to justify the need for health and safety. So we all know as practitioners, sometimes we might see things that need improvement. And often we may need to provide some type of business case beyond just safety sometimes as to why we need to invest in this area. So part of this program is teaching you that some of those skills as you go along. So we'll look at how we justify health and safety improvements within our workplace. We'll understand different parts of duties. So in the National General, we'll look at UK health and safety legislation. If we were talking about international, we'll start focusing on the ILO. We'll talk about how we can help organisations to manage contractors. We're going to look at different health and safety management systems. We're going to focus on how we as practitioners and also our leadership team can influence health and safety culture and behaviour. Really important, it's a really hot topic, and we'll start talking about culture and behaviour at the moment. We're going to look at how we apply the risk assessment process in our workplace, so how we can apply it to all different manners of different types of hazards. We're going to understand how we recognise workplace changes, their impact, how we can minimise these impacts. We'll look at some safe systems of work. We'll look at emergency arrangements, permit to work systems. We'll look at incident investigation. And we'll also look at how we can check the effectiveness of our health and safety management system as well, through things like monitoring, auditing, and reviewing. So you might be familiar with some of our systems like 45001 or Plan Do Check Act. These are some of the systems that we're going to be looking at. So in addition to looking at things like noise and vibration and working at height, electricity, we're going to cover all of those subjects, but we're also going to cover a lot around your skills as a practitioner and how you can apply the best within your industry. So let's just break down this qualification a little bit. And you can see I'm using some abbreviations in here. So NG talks about National General, so that's UK standard. IG is talking about International General, so that's ILO standard. Generally, these qualifications have 2 units within them, the NG1 or IG1, which is all looking at the management of health and safety. And NG2, IG2 is looking at risk assessments. And this is where we're going to look at some of the topics like noise and vibration, working at height, and how we approach it in a risk methodology. So both of these units you need to pass to achieve your qualification. And we'll talk a little bit more about these. But essentially, for Unit 1, you need to have a 45% pass mark. And Unit 2 is either a pass or a fail mark. And you can see on the right-hand side of the screen that NEBOSH also can give you a grading on your qualifications as well. So depending on your points, you can see that we have refer, pass, credit, and distinction. So a breakdown of the units itself. So in NG1, IG1, you can see we have 4 units. We're going to look at why we should manage workplace health and safety. So think about moral, legal, and financial reasons. We're going to look at different health and safety management systems, how they work, what they look like, what makes them effective. We're going to look at managing risk, and that's also understanding how people interact with it and the processes that we use. And of course, we've got to be able to monitor and measure our performance to see how effective it is. In the second part, the risk assessment part, you can see that we're now starting to look at health and physical types of hazards. So we look at physical, psychological health, musculoskeletal, chemical, biological agents. We're going to look at general workplace issues, work equipment, fire, and electricity in this. So all the basic topics that you really need to understand as a practitioner. And you'll see on the right-hand side that there is some recommendations about the amount of taught hours and self-study hours within each of these units as well. So effectively, if you total those taught hours up, If you were sat with a tutor, that's generally 9 days of delivery. If you're self-starting, then it would depend on what your schedule looks like and how you're applying sort of your study hours. But it just gives you an idea about the amount of time and commitment that you'll need. So the one emphasis that I would put here is it's not just if you're doing a tutor-led program, it's not just what you learn in that classroom, but you should also prepare yourself to putting in some extra time so that you can revise and do some of the activities and self-study types of tasks that we have built in as well to help build that knowledge. I really emphasize this, that the NEBOSH certificate is not just about repeating what you've learned. It is about applying knowledge, and you'll see that as we start looking at some of the assessments. So the first one, the NG1, this is all about open book exam. So what this means is that there is a set date that you will be able to complete your exam, and it's done online. So basically, when you register for your exam, NEBOSH will email you with a link and a login details, and you log on to the portal. And on the day of the exam at 11 o'clock, NEBOSH will release the exam paper, and you will then have 24 hours to complete the exam paper, submit your responses to it before the portal closes. Basically, the exams run every month, and I mentioned earlier on that there's a 45% pass mark to it. So what we mean by open book is that you can use the resources that are available to you. So you can use your study book, you can maybe look on the ILO website, look on the HSC website, you can use trusted resources to help you in answering the questions. So to give you an idea about what those questions look like, this is very typical type of exam question. And generally, NEBOSH will give you a scenario, and then the questions will be based off this scenario. So you can see it's quite a detailed scenario on the left-hand side. It's talking about that you're working for a particular company, in this case, a construction company. It gives you some context about the organization, who works there, what activities are going on there. And then it will talk about a particular issue that is affecting that organization. And then you will have the questions that are then based on this scenario. So it will ask you about that first question. You can see, discuss the moral reasons for managing health and safety. And it says, you've been asked to chair the Health and Safety Committee meeting. Before the meeting, you decide that you will open the meeting by reminding everyone of their moral obligations of health and safety. Prepare notes of the moral argument you will use at this meeting. They are not looking for textbook answers here. They're looking for you to refer back to the scenario and talk about the scenario and some of the quite specific issues that may affect that company. And you can see that there is a 10 digit next to it, which is telling you there are 10 marks. So this is very typical of the type of exam questions that you will have. And you can use your resources to really help guide you on the answers. And you have 24 hours to complete your exam paper and submit them. So that's the NG1. The NG2 or IG2 is a risk assessment based. So this is when we're now going to be assessing you on the practical application of completing a risk assessment and also developing an action plan for your workplace. And again, these assessments dates will run every month. There is a pass or fail with them. NEBOSH recommend about 3 hours to complete this, but we realise that actually students take much longer than this to complete. But to show you what this looks like, essentially what you'll be doing is you'll be doing a very structured risk assessment in the templates that NEBOSH provide for you. And you can see along the top here that we're talking about the description of the organisation, the risk assessment, what prioritising actions you're going to introduce, and then you're going to review and check. So this first part is about the description of the organisation, and you're there to provide a detailed description of what your organisation is, and it gives you sort of word count ideas in here, so it gives you an idea of what depth they want you to provide. The second part about risk assessments, you can see that you're now selecting a number of hazards, and you're now describing who's affected by it, what existing controls are already in place, what further controls you're recommending, timescale, and who's responsible for those changes. So this might be somewhat familiar to you if you've done risk assessments before, but it's a very set format that NEBOSH uses. The third part is all about prioritizing any actions. And this is considering sort of the legal arguments, it's considering the likelihood of the risk, it's asking you about how effective those control measures are going to be. And then the final bit is about reviewing. So it may not be that you review every 12 months. It depends on the nature of the risk. If it's high risk, you might review it more often. How are you going to communicate those risks and how you'll follow up on it? So we've just done a very, very quick overview on it. And one of the things I will say is that we will give lots of guidance around practicing exam questions and taking you through the risk assessment scenarios as well to help you with it as part of the planning for your qualification. I will also add here, I'm sure you're all aware of AI, and we all use ChatGPT and we all use accessing resources online. I will say that NEBOSH do take sort of cheating and plagiarism very seriously. So plagiarism is copying other people's work, whether it's a colleague or whether it's something that you found online. NEBOSH do use software to detect malpractice or looking at similarities between other submissions that have been made or AI responses as well. So they use a software called Turnitin. So we will give you some guidance around this to how to avoid some of the pitfalls around this. And as part of the process as well, you'll hear about NEBOSH's closing interviews. So that basically is after you've submitted your exam, you'll be interviewed by the British Safety Council, and we'll ask you some questions based on your exam paper that you've submitted. And it's really just doing a very quick check to make sure that you are the person that submitted that paper. So it's all very straightforward, and we have lots of videos to show you how to actually conduct these interviews. So the assessment itself, you have 5 years for completion. I've given some information on here about how quickly results are released, when you get your parchment. We do recommend, there is a standard of English required for the qualification as well. This is something that NEBOSH recommend. If you have any questions about that, please do come back to us. We're very happy to answer any of those questions around suitability. And a little bit about NEBOSH certificate itself and whether it's right for you. I will again just emphasize this is a globally recognized professional qualification. Unlike some other qualifications that we've seen out there, this really is not just giving you technical knowledge, but it's really thinking about how you apply that knowledge in real world examples. It makes you a really rounded practitioner, gives you a lot of confidence. We find with our students that once they've completed the course, they absolutely bloom in confidence afterwards. So it's a great qualification to take. It's helping you develop a lot of those professional skills that you need as a practitioner. And it's going to help with your own health and safety kind of career progression for the future. So a little bit about the British Safety Council. If you don't know anything about us, we've got quite a lot on our website, so you can find out lots about who we are. But we've been around for a long time. We were founded in 1957 by an amazing founder called James Tighe. If you want to know anything about James Tighe, I did a blog about him on LinkedIn, so please go and check it out. And James Tighe was an absolute pioneer for health and safety. He helped to transform health and safety, certainly in the UK. A lot of his efforts led to the direct groundbreaking Health and Safety Work Act. A lot of things that you take for granted today, like seatbelts, he was the main campaigner around it. He's just absolutely incredible how he changed the world of health and safety. So we're very proud of James Tighe. We are a not-for-profit organisation, so we're a charity. So when you buy our products or services, the surplus that comes from that, we reinvest it back into our charitable activities. And you'll see if you go on our website, we have an impact report of all the charitable work that we're doing. So the money you invest with us goes to a good place and we put it back into our industry. We are truly a global organisation. So I think this year we had students from 97 countries around the world. So we truly are global. And we work across all size and sectors with people at all levels in the workplace as well, right up to very senior to people that are entering into health and safety or on the shop floor. We don't just do training, but we're a membership organisation as well. We do audit and consultancy, awards, events, and publications. You can find a lot around us on our website. And within our training, we do everything from very basic awareness courses right the way through to the NEBOSH diploma that we talked about, IOSH, we do ISEP, which is sustainability, environmental courses, wellbeing, and leadership courses, and so forth. But we're also very proud that we do a lot of campaigning, we do a lot of influencing on policies, and so we're very active in this space. We are a gold NEBOSH learning provider, so it tells you a lot about the excellence of what we do. And that's not just how we think, but it's also what our students think. So just a bit of insight here. If you go onto Trustpilot, you'll see some amazing reviews. Actually, I've just picked out some from Maria, so you'll get to meet Maria in a moment. But it just gives you an idea that we have outstanding customer feedback around our training. And just for our training, we also have a Net Promoter Score. So this is our customers giving us direct feedback. And we sit at 66. So if you know anything about Net Promoter Score, as soon as you start getting into the 70 plus, you really are in the world-class sector. And so we're very proud of that our customers and our students really rate us very highly around the quality of the material they get, the support that they get from us. And we do a lot around celebrating our top students as well. So you'll see on LinkedIn and on some of our social media on Facebook that every month we promote our top student of our cohort. We're very proud of some of the work that you'll see. In fact, if I just flick back a slide, I didn't quite mention this, but if we flick back a slide, you see on the right-hand side here, this is Matthew Frost. We're very proud of Matthew. Matthew won one of the diploma unit's best candidate awards last year. This is him in his graduation with his daughter. So out of all of the students that were taking their diplomas in those particular units, he was the leading student that got the top score. So it gives you an idea about how successful our students are when they study with us. The quality of what we do is very important to us. So a little bit about what we actually offer, and you can go on our website and have a look as well. But just to give you an idea, our classroom courses, so this is our physical courses where you'll go along to a venue with a tutor. We run these over 9 days, and you will have access not just to the tutor, but you're going to have access to our study hub. I'm going to show you this in a moment. And on our study hub, you're going to get access to our digital learning course as well. You will get access to all our free exam preparation sessions, our tutor surgery sessions, lots of extra resources as well. And our price includes the exams. Our virtual classroom, so this is us delivering over Zoom, a bit like this today. Again, 9 days. And again, you get access to all of the same resources, our digital learning, all of our exam preps, our tutor surgery days as well, all included in that price and the exams. We also run digital, so e-learning courses. And this is where you can study at your own pace. Again, you will get the same access to our study hub, our free exam preps. You can get some access to our tutors on our surgery days as well. And our chart, you can see our charge for that. We don't include the exams for this just purely because you can book your exams when you're ready to complete them. And everybody studies at different levels. So we allow you to book when you would like to book with us. And you can do that through our portals. So it's a little bit about, kind of gives you a bit of insight. But I will just say, for us, this is all about positive learning experience. So when you study with the British Safety Council, we want to ensure that you have a very good experience and that you pass for your qualification. So it doesn't matter whether you study in the classroom with us or whether you're a virtual classroom studier, you're going to get access to some of the same types of resources and consistent experience that we give. So you'll have access to our learning zone, have access to our study hub. You will get access to our tutors, the free types of tutor surgeries that we run, exam prep sessions as well. We do lots of risk assessment activities. You can get to connect with other students. We do a lot around preparing you for a student because we get that you may not have sat in a classroom for a long time. So we're going to help you to how to be a student. And we've got some amazing resources to help how you prepare yourself and you plan, how you can actually maybe overcome some of the concerns that you have. We'll talk you through some of the study techniques that will be useful to you. So how to find what works for you and what's best for you. Everyone has a very different style, so we'll help you. We recognize it's not just about the technique. So we have a whole series of Study Hero, how to overcome procrastination or how to study beyond the textbooks, and how to identify sort of knowledge gaps. We will help you be that study hero and take you on that journey. And we're also here to motivate, and we do a lot of this. So we get that you'll get nervous and you might doubt yourself, and that's why our team are here, is to help you through it. So we want to help you with that next journey and help you sort of take your career to that next level in a very successful way with the British Safety Council. So I'm just going to introduce you a little bit to the learning zone as well, so you can see a little bit about what we do. So I'm just going to flash up. So this is our digital learning, but we provide this access to all of our students. So even if you book on a virtual classroom or a physical classroom, you will still get access to all of this material freely as well. So I've got our international journal in front of us. I'm just going to very quickly, briefly go through it. But if you'd like to see more of it, we're happy to sort of do some more sharing at a separate time with you. But we've got lots of introductions and how to take you through the e-learning itself, and you'll get access to all of our study materials. So this is our study notebooks that you can see. And it's not just the technical bit, but we're going to give you little activities and exercises to do to help embed some of that knowledge as well. So really help think critically. We'll give you lots of different types of exam questions so you can practice. We have lots of sort of frequently asked questions that you might have, a bit about the syllabus. I'll take you into the study hub in a minute. And then when we go into the introduction, we've got nice videos to take you in, lots of additional resources around mock exams, how to maximize your kind of exam success. And then let me take you into an actual element. So we'll go into the first element, which is 1.1. And this is part of our digital series. So when you go into the course, you'll see that we have, we'll take you through step by step through each of the sections. And it's not just text on here as well. So we have lots of sort of videos and activities for you to do. So this is an activity. So this is talking about how do you make financial decisions as a health and safety manager. You've been given a particular problem. How are you going to fix the problem? And so, okay, so we want to put some SOAR guides on. How much is it going to cost? We want to buy it. So what is left of our budget? So it's giving you real world-class kind of activities for you to do. We have lots of quizzes that sit on here that help embed your knowledge, lots of activities for you to try in here as you go through. And we also have scenario questions. So we're getting you to practice your exam questions all the way through, and we'll give you some typical answers. And that runs through all of the units, so you can access all of the units. This is just one small part of the unit that we cover. We also have what we call the study support guide. So you can go in there and you can find out how you can connect with your tutors. Here's the lovely Maria, who you'll get to meet in a moment. We have a whole resources library here. So we have lots of tool guides. You can see we've got the study videos here that you can go into. We've got lots of videos and examples of exam techniques in here as well. Got lots of past papers in here, lots of technique videos that you can go into. So huge amount of guides. We've got lots of sort of guides that you may want to go into. So if you want to find out a bit more about the UK guides or the ILO guides, lots of useful links. Basically, everything that you need is here available for you. If you've only booked with digital and you want to book your exams, we have areas that you can book your exams and find out the dates. We've got lots of assessment guides. So when you're actually doing the open book exam, we have lots of guides here about how to log on, how to access the question paper, how to prepare for closing interviews, lots about how to read your results and what they look like. And we have some sections on here about career development as well, and what that looks like. I talked about earlier on about, typically what sort of salaries we expect people to be sat at with different qualifications. So essentially, lots of information really to help you all the way through and to be successful. And as I mentioned, we run regular tutorial sessions as well that you can book onto and talk live to a tutor. Even if you're just doing digital, you can do that. And we also run free exam prep sessions as well. So when you're preparing for your exam, if you'd like to come on, you can come on, you can see sort of some mock papers and really get to understand how an examiner marks them. And there's no limitation to these, so you can attend as many as you want, they're completely free. So it's a very snapshot. We've done this very quickly in half an hour to show you a little bit about what NEBOSH qualification is, why it's such a great selection for a qualification. a little bit about the British Safety Council, a bit of insight into what we do, and you can see a little bit about some of the resources that we provide for you. But actually, what we really pride ourselves on is the amazing tutorials. So you can see from the feedback that we've had some great success with having outstanding exam results. We've had some of our students winning awards around being best candidates. You see our feedback that we have on our Trustpilot as well. So we're very proud of that. We have some very talented trainers who not only will provide that technical ability for you, but will also take you all the way through understanding a lot more about how to prepare as a student, how to get the best from your studies as well at the same time. So with that in mind, I'm now going to hand you across to the very talented Maria. Maria is going to be joining me in this session now, and she's going to be taking you through some slides and giving you a bit of a sample. Good morning, Maria. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Julie. All good. Thank you so much for the presentation. Fantastic. Very, very, very informative. And we got fantastic questions in the chat. So, yes, all good.
Great. I'm going to hand you over to the very safe hands of Maria, and I will join you after this session. Thanks, Maria.
Thank you so much, Julie, and good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining today. My name is Maria Lopez, and I am the Study Support Advisor at the British Safety Council. In this part of the session, we will be looking at human factors. This is a very, very important part of the course content because it helps us understand how not only how accidents can happen, but also how we can prevent those accidents. As we go through the slides, there are some points that might also serve as an opportunity for self-reflection, just to think about how these situations might apply in our workplaces. So with your permission, what I'm going to do is share my slides with you. Just give me a little moment, and I'm going to share the presentation with you. So let me get this. It is. Okay, so I would like to start this presentation with a little case scenario. Brightway Engineering is a busy company making parts for the transport industry. After winning a big order, the team has been working longer shifts and several temporary workers have joined to help meet deadlines. Tom, one of the new temporary workers, had a short induction session that didn't cover much. In his first 2 weeks, he ended up working 7 days in a row because the company was short of staff. One afternoon, on his way back from the canteen to his workstation, Tom tripped over a box left in the middle of the walkway and fell badly on the floor. The box had been left there by Steve, another temp, who wasn't basically sure where he's supposed to go. Tom said that he didn't see the box because the overhead light was not working. However, Brenda, who witnessed the accident, claimed she saw Tom looking at his phone as he walked, even though phones were not allowed on the shop floor. But then he explained that nobody had told him about the rule during the induction, and he regularly seen his boss using a phone at work. So now let me ask you a question. If you put yourself in Tom's shoes, tired after 7 days in a row and with poor lighting conditions, do you think you could definitely have seen the boss? Me, myself, personally, I'm not sure if I could have. And what about with Steve? Have you ever been the new person in a job and not been given any clear instructions? It's a situation that many of us, we might recognize. And many times it shows how important proper guidance is from the very beginning needed. Now, I would like to ask you another couple of questions. Do you believe that the accident at Brightway Engineering happened for just one reason? And if so, what was potentially the broken light, or maybe the box in the walkway, or maybe Tom looking at his phone? Now let's move from the case to the theory and try to understand the cause or maybe the causes of the accident. And I can tell you from the very beginning that the incident on Broadway Engineering did not happen for one reason alone. Instead, several conditions at the company played a part. We need to look beyond these surface details if we really want to understand the causes of an accident. And this is where human factors come in. So what exactly are human factors? Human factors are environmental, organizational, and job conditions, plus also individual characteristics. In other words, it's everything around us and everything within us that shapes how we act. They influence behavior and work. They also affect health and safety and performance. One of the first people to study this, it was Herbert Heinrich back in 1930s. After reviewing thousands of accidents, he concluded that around 80 to 90% involve human factors. Human factors are usually grouped under three headings: organizational factors, job factors, and individual factors. But here is the key. Human factors, they don't mean that they are always people the problem. To me, human factors show how much potential there is to improve the way we work, the work that is designed, how it's designed, and how we are supported by the organization. We have all experienced situations like this, being under pressure, feeling tired, not receiving proper training, or dealing with tasks that they were poorly designed. It reminds us that safety is not just about checklists, it's about people. Now, let's focus in the first of the three headings, organizational factors. Here we look at health and safety culture. This is about the shared values and attitudes in a workplace, the mindset that shapes how people behave. A poor health and safety culture normally looks like rule breaking, shortcuts, or simply lack of care. A positive health and safety culture encourages commitment, support, and also learning from mistakes. We also need to think about leadership. Leadership sets the direction at all levels. Poor leadership often creates confusion, lack of accountability, and constant criticism. Instead, good leadership provides a clear vision, builds trust, and encourages collaboration, which is extremely, extremely important when it comes to health and safety. And it makes me wonder which has the stronger influence on safety, the mindset among colleagues or the leadership from above. So, still within the organizational factors, let's look at resources, work patterns, and communications. Poor resources normally lead to fatigue, mistakes, delays, injuries, and also low morale. With good resources, we see compliance, we also see efficiency, prevention of accidents, and a higher morale. Work patterns can cover shifts, repetitive tasks, and breaks. Poor patterns can lead us to fatigue, reduced concentration, mistakes, at the end of the day, low morale. Good patterns creates us to be more alert, support mental health, and improve morale. What about communication? Spoken or written or visual? Poor communications brings confusion, misunderstandings, mistakes, accidents, and low morale. Good communication builds clarity, awareness. What about teamwork? Less errors and a stronger morale. Looking back at the bright way engineering, I wonder how many of these organizational factors played a role there. What do you think? Do you think that it was poor resources? Maybe the broken light left unfixed? What about the work patterns unreasonable? Because we know that Tom, he was working 7 days in a row. Or was about communication with no clear induction about the rules? Accidents rarely, very, very rarely come down to one witness. It is usually several of these combining. Now let's look into Job factors, the task, the workload, and the environment. What about the task? The task can be physically demanding, which leads to fatigue, errors, musculoskeletal injuries. What happens if the task is mentally demanding? Again, fatigue, mistakes, even stress. What about if the task is poor designed? Awkward positions, long distances, or beyond capability? What happened then? We can start to take shortcuts, more injuries, at the end of the day, also reduce performance. What about the workload? Can it be too low? Sometimes if the workload is too low, it can lead to dissatisfaction, even mistakes. But what happens if the workload is too high? Fatigue, stress, at the end of the day, poor mental health. What about the workload to be inconsistent? Frustration and stress. Let's talk about environment. Space can be too limited. Again, mistakes, injuries. What about poor lighting in the same case that private engineering? It can create eye strain, fatigue, misreading. What about temperatures? Maybe there can be extreme hot temperatures, can create fatigue, can reduce attention or loss of dexterity. What about lack of a clear space? Again, poor morale or even ill health. So let's take a closer look at job factors. And when we think about private engineering, we can see how job factors played a major role. Tom was working under poor lighting, carrying a heavy workload after 7 days in a row, and Steve facing unclear procedures about where things should be stored. All of these combined increase the likelihood at an accident. That is why job factors are so important. They can quietly shape the risks people face on a daily basis. When we talk about job factors, we also need to talk about ergonomics and procedures. When we talk about ergonomics, we must talk about display and controls. What happens if they are poorly positioned or unclear displays? Misreading, or potentially us being ignoring all this information. What happens if controls too far or too close, or they don't have the right labeled? Fatigue, again, mistakes, frustration even, and the wrong selection sometimes. But when we talk about procedures, what happens if these procedures, they are not there, they are inexistent, or they are not clear? We can potentially make the wrong assumptions, leading to more mistakes. What happens if those procedures, they are illogical, or they are not consistent? They can be ignored, they can be a deviation from safe systems, or overly complex, which can basically lead us to more mistakes. And it can happen, sometimes procedures, they are too complex, which are very difficult for us to understand. And when we think about Brightway engineering, we can see how job factors play a major role. Tom was working under poor lighting, again, carrying a heavy workload. So all these things, again, is basically the combination of all of them. They are the reason for potentially this incident. Let's talk about individual factors. How competent we can be. What about our skills? But what happened about our personality? When we talk about competence, it's the combinations of skills, knowledge, and experience. Without it, people might not recognize hazards or might take unnecessary risk. With competence, people know their limits, when to seek, or potentially how to seek help, or how to ask for support, and how to work efficiently. Skills. Skills is the ability to perform the task well. Low skills can lead to frustration, fatigue, and mistakes, while high skills lead us to be more efficient, job satisfaction, and a safer workplace. When attitudes are negative, we normally see risk-taking, dissatisfaction, low effort, or people focusing only on pay. And sometimes it in many, many occasions. In this kind of environment, motivation is low and mistakes or unsafe behaviors become more likely. When attitudes are positive, we see commitment, we see professionalism, we see innovation, we see teamwork, and we pride and also pride in the work being done. That kind of mindset lifts morale and makes safety feel like it's a shared responsibility. We all part of the health and safety. And thinking back to Brightway Engineering, Tom said he had seen his boss using a phone on the shop floor, even though it was not allowed. That kind of example can shape attitude very, very rapidly. If leaders bend the rules, it becomes easier for others to do the same. It shows how personality and attitude can just not affect individuals, but they influence the culture of the whole workplace. We talk about risk perception when it comes to individual factors, and we know that there are different aspects that they can basically affect how we perceive the risk. Is the way how people they judge the level of risk, and sometimes they can be very subjective. So things that they can affect our risk perception, it can be our cognitive ability, sight, hearing, concentrations, but it can also be affected by experience. Maybe we are new, we don't have the experience, but maybe we have too much experience. We are very familiar with the task. What about familiarity? Familiarity can lead to overconfidence. And what about the physical state? Can we potentially be fatigued? Can we be under drugs, like that they can be medical or potentially recreational? What about these distractions? Once again, it's time for reflection, and it makes me wonder how often do accidents happen, not because the risk was hidden, but because people didn't see it clearly or didn't believe it was serious enough. This is why risk perception matters, because two people can face the same situation, but depending on the state of mind, body, or experience, they might have a completely different judgment of the danger. Let's go into link between individual, job, and organizational factors. And this brings us to an important point. Human factors very, very rarely act alone. One usually affects another. For example, a worker's attitude can be shaped by poor training resources. This is an organizational issue affecting the individual. What about poor communication? Can lead to badly designed tasks and unsafe ways of working. This is an organizational weakness creating a job issue. A negative safety culture can create heavy workloads, which can then cause fatigue. So a lack of investment can mean people they don't have the right skills. Poor welfare or hygiene can leave staff unhappy and even disconnected. And weak leadership can lead to a poor working environment. All of this shows how connected these factors they are. Accidents, and once again, are very rarely caused by just one issue. They usually come from a chain of different influence. And it makes me ask myself, when we look at the accidents, do we sometimes stop too quickly at the first cause we see, instead of asking what else might be behind? And then, to end this presentation, let us focus on one key takeaway. In accident investigations, we should always ask why, but not just once, but again and again and again, until we find the chain of individual, job, and organizational factors behind the incident. Accidents rarely happen for one single reason. They are usually the result of several causes coming together. If we stop at the surface, nothing changes. But if we keep asking why, we start to see the bigger picture. That is when we can make real improvements, not just to stop one accident, but to build safer and healthier workplace for everyone. So I leave this with you to think about it. The more we ask questions, the more we uncover, and the closer we get to a safer workplaces for everyone. Thank you so much to everyone for joining the webinar, and I hope that this information it was helpful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maria. That's really, really interesting. Thank you. And I can see some of the commentary and chat that we're getting as well as has been really great and really encouraging. So thank you very much for that. So let me just throw my slides back up again, and we'll just cover off the last couple of slides that we've got. And Maria, great that you're going to stay with us as well. Thank you very much. So oh, here we go. Let's have a quick look at where we were with our slide deck. Here we go. So that just gives you a bit of an overview. So thank you, Maria, for that. Of course, if you've got any questions, I've just thrown up our email address, and you can contact the education team directly. We are slowly getting through. We've had quite a lot of questions coming through, so I do apologise that I see a few sort of commentary up here about questions that are being doubled on here. So we will get through them as quickly as possible as we go through these sessions. But I think we'll use a bit of this time to answer some of these live as well as we go through. So with regards to, we've had quite a lot of questions about our exam fees on here. So I mentioned earlier on that for the virtual classrooms and the physical classrooms that we run, the exam fee is included within it. For the digital, they're not included in it. And so just to give you an idea, and all this information is on our website as well, but it's £230 plus VAT for exams. So that basically is a fee that we pay to NEBOSH as an examination body for you to take your exams with us. If you want to pay for your exams at the same time as buying your digital, you can do. There isn't a problem with that. And likewise, if you just want to buy the virtual classroom or the classroom and not buy your exams, please get in contact with us, and we're quite happy to process it that way as well. We generally just advise you that if you're doing your course, try and take your exams fairly close to the completion of the course, just purely because you get fade of knowledge after a while. So it's really helpful just to be able to take it as close as possible as you can to your learning. We've also had quite a lot of questions about other types of NEBOSH qualifications as well. And just to say that we offer quite a broad range of NEBOSH products. So again, you can get in contact with us as a team if that's helpful to you. Or we have all of our information as well that sits on our website. So we've had some questions about what's the difference between maybe the construction or the fire course. Again, a lot of information on our website, but if you want to come and talk to us, or you want to talk to a member of our customer service team, they can actually take you through. We can share some of the syllabus details. We can talk to you a little bit about what the qualifications involve. If you want to see a little bit about some samples of some of our other products, digital products, we can do that for you as well. We've had quite a lot of questions about the diploma. And just to say, with all of these qualifications, we completely understand that if you're looking across a number of providers, and there are some great providers out there, NEBOSH will rate them as gold standard, so you know some quality of what you're getting and how we're being audited by NEBOSH. There are a number of suppliers out there and lots of gold providers as well. So part of what we're doing here today is giving you a bit of insight, and I would suggest to do this with any training provider that you're looking to perhaps sign up with. Get a real feel for their organisation, not just what you're going to be delivered up front, but also what is the support that's available to you. You know, how are we going to help you through that qualification? And what are your exam results like? What is your feedback like? I really recommend to look very holistically across an organisation. And we're very transparent with this. So if you want to look at any of our programmes and you want to have a little bit of a taster around our digital learning, we're more than happy to allow you to have access to that. You'll see all of our feedback results that sit online as well. So you get a really good idea around you know, what our students think about us. Our exam results, we've had quite a few questions about our exam results. Our exam results are very high. So it depends on cohort and method of learning and what qualification you're talking about. But pretty much every single qualification, we sit above the national average. So when you look across all training providers, where does your actual exam rate sit? We sit very high. So we're definitely in one of the top performers with regards to qualifications. Some other questions we've had about whether we can go straight onto the diploma course afterwards. With all of these qualifications, it's always worth taking a moment to think about your own time and input that you can put into this. I talked about the certificate, and you'll need to put some self-study time in. The diploma is the same as well. We do have a diploma taster session running in November, so you're very welcome to come and join that. We do have some recordings of the last session that we presented as well, so you can access onto that and get to see a real insight into what the diploma is about. And again, come and talk to us. We get that all of these decisions are really big decisions for you. It's a big step. It may have been a while since you've stepped into a classroom, and what does that look like for you? You may be nervous about perhaps signing up to digital and how you're going to stay motivated and connected to it. We get that. We've all been there. Marie and I have gone through this process. We are practitioners ourselves. We have gone through the learning process ourselves. We all start at the beginning with an IOSH course perhaps, or a basic awareness course, and have gone through sort of the structure of certificates and diplomas and so forth. So we totally get it. We totally get it from your point of view as a student. And this is why we focus not just on the technical bit, but we spend a lot of time looking at how we can help motivate you, support you. We get that you get crisis and confidence about things. So we want to be able to take you through all of that. We've had a lot of other questions as well around how recognised in certain countries are NEBOSH. So I have said at the beginning that it is globally recognised. We do recognise that there are some countries like the US and Australia that have their own qualifications as well. But NEBOSH actually, in some instances, you can use it for further qualifications. So for the US, as an example, if you wanted to go and take a qualification to become a certified practitioner, and for the BSP qualification, NEBOSH is recognised as an underpinning qualification. And you still need to do their exam, but you can use it to demonstrate your knowledge. And also some universities recognise NEBOSH diplomas and things like that as well. So it's just giving you a view that NEBOSH is very globally recognised, even when there are other qualifications in those countries as well. But if you want to find out more about it in a particular country that you're operating in, come and talk to us about it. We can take you through all of those. I know we've got certain countries that have been asked around here as well, so come and talk to us, we can guide you. I've had some questions about whether if I'm operating in sort of US or Norway, whether the national or international will work for us. Generally, national is UK-based, HSE, international is ILO. And ILO clearly is just a global kind of recognized standards. But in the US, they will have OSHA as an example. So they have their own level of standards, and you have federal and state level. In Norway, you'll have European laws in there. So there are some differences. If you're unsure, come and talk to us. Many of us have worked in global roles as well, so we understand some of those markets in Europe, in Australia, whether it's South Africa, in the US. We also have an office based in India. We have teams based in Dubai. We have a team going at Saudi Arabia as well. So we're very present globally. We can give you a lot of advice around whether this qualification will work for you and what is the best route for you as well. So I hope that answers quite a lot of questions that we've come through. We've been really inundated, which has been really lovely to see sort of some of these questions coming through. If I haven't had a chance to answer every single one of these questions, please do email us. We're very happy to engage further around the conversation. I'm very conscious of time as we sit with less than 1 minute to go. So I would like to say thank you very much to everyone that attended today. It's been great to connect with you. Please do come and talk to us if you have any questions. A big thank you to Maria as well, who did a fantastic insight around giving you a sample of what we're about. And I, as a concluding thought, I'd just like to wish you all the best for your career and your next step in your qualifications. And regardless of whether you engage with us with your training, please do keep us up to date. Please connect with us on social media, particularly around LinkedIn. We wish you all the best for the future. Thank you very much for today's session.
Thank you.